Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
All right, buddy, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, May the 3rd, 2023. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy, folks.
What's up, bitches?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
RadioPete out on the island saying what's up.
How you guys doing tonight? Did you talk to the guy?
I talked to the guy. Let me just say, first and foremost, to all of you Ranger fans out there and Islander fans, good riddance.
And what's funny is
riddance, go Devils. Couldn't have been a better week in hockey for me.
Devils.
So the only one of us that lives in New York is a New Jersey fan.
Yeah, well, it's just because of the rhyme scheme.
I know.
I grew up a Devils fan because there were free tickets all the time.
Yeah.
And,
true.
This
is true. I probably went to more Devils games over the course of time than I actually went to MSG and went to Rangers games, but only because of that fact that I just, for a while, I probably went to a Devils game every other week, when we were teenagers and that. Just free tickets all the time. Yeah. And then even later on too, but anyway.
So yeah. Boo-hoo.
Anyway.
Fucking
it's a second run sport. Second or third run. Definitely second run.
Yeah,
slightly below tennis, right?
Pickleball.
How many white men are being triggered right now by this discussion?
In any event, I actually was considering wearing a Devils jersey tonight with a Devils cap.
Hopefully it was Mark
but Hershey actually he actually plays the current player.
It was Chico Resch.
It was Chico Resch, yeah. It was the green with the green jersey. Oh, I wanted them. I would love that. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. But anyway, but I decided the main part of the show tonight is the NFL draft recap. So
let's get right into it. And John, why don't you take us through it, because I have no idea what's going on. So please enlighten us. Please enlighten us as to what we picked, how bad or good we did.
Let's look. I'll tell you what. Let's look at our picks. I'll put them up on the screen, and I'll do one at a time. We'll start with RadioPete's, and
I think I did pretty well as far as
comparison of what actually was picked.
As far as who was picked,
where was
the top
mine?
10?
Right.
Apparently
we're not doing the NFL draft.
No, we are, but I can't. You know what? We'll just start with RadioPete's.
All right.
And we'll go from there. For some reason, I can't find mine, but whatever. There we go. All right. So we put RadioPete's up. Okay. So he had Carolina picking Bryce Young first. Bryce Young did indeed go to Carolina first. He had the Houston Texans picking. There you go. He had the Houston Texans picking Will Anderson second. They picked C.J. Stroud second. So he got that wrong. However, and he had the Cardinals picking Paris Johnson Jr. third. But the Texans actually traded with the Cardinals and got their third pick. And they picked Will Anderson then. So we got him a half a point for that.
Yeah, there was and you get half a point because you said there was going to be a trade.
Right, there you go. That's true.
It just wasn't.
It wasn't to Tennessee, like I had said.
Yeah. So, good move by the Cardinals.
Yeah,
getting their quarterback and listening to me, and taking Anderson one round later.
Yep, exactly. So then you had the Colts picking C.J. Stroud. Obviously, the Texans had already taken him. Yeah, the Seahawks picking Jalen Carter. And they picked Devin Witherspoon.
They took Devin Witherspoon, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You had the Lions picking Devin Witherspoon. The Lions traded their pick to Arizona, and they got Paris Johnson Jr. So, just looking through it, you said the Raiders were going to get Tyree Wilson, and they did. So you get another point there. You got that right. Falcons picking Christian Gonzalez. They did not take him. In fact, Christian Gonzalez didn't go until pick 17 to the Patriots.
Yeah.
The Bears picking Darnell Wright, and they picked and they traded their pick with the Eagles, and the Eagles picked Jalen Carter, but the Bears at 10 picked Darnell Wright. So you had that right. So
9 out of 10.
Yeah, so I think the only guy that I had that didn't get picked in the top 10 was Gonzalez, right?
Was Gonzalez, right? And the
only one. Well, right. No, and I didn't. There must be somebody else because I didn't have Richardson.
You didn't have right. You didn't. You had Bryce Young got picked. Will Anderson got picked. Paris Johnson got picked. C.J. Stroud got picked. Jalen Carter got picked. Devin Witherspoon got picked. Tyree Wilson got picked. Darnell Wright got picked. Jalen and Bijan Robinson got picked. Richardson and Gonzalez are the two outliers. So it was one pick. So you had 9 right. Look at you, Pete.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Not bad at all.
And two of them were spot on.
Two of them were spot on.
And the rest were wrong team or wrong place.
Exactly. So right team, wrong place, or wrong team, right place, or whatever. But
not bad. I'll take that.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all.
Better than Mel Kiper.
Actually, you know what? I got to say, it probably was better than Mel Kiper. Right. We can actually go back to one of his 35 different mock drafts and see which one actually matches yours. But,
probably one like from 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Is dead on, but then he's moved on from that. As the whispers start happening. So
that's right.
Sure, of course.
He's going to go back and go.
He had Paris Hilton going to the Raiders.
He did. But in any event, all right. So let's look at Harry's picks. I will just go down. He got Bryce Young right. He got C.J. Stroud correct. He got Will Anderson in the 3rd spot correct, just the wrong team. You had the Cardinals picking Will Anderson, and it was the Houston that picked Will Anderson. You had Anthony Richardson right to the Colts.
Yeah,
4 out of 4, baby.
There you go, in order. He had Jalen Carter was picked, but 10th or 9th rather, right. and by the Eagles. Tyree Wilson was indeed picked by the Raiders, not the Lions. So he had that. He had the pick right in the wrong spot by the wrong team. Devin Witherspoon got picked. So he had that right. Christian Gonzalez was the outlier too. And then Peter Skoronsky and Nolan Smith. Skoronsky was 11th, and Nolan Smith was... Where did Nolan Smith go? Nolan Smith went 30th to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So you had it right. The right team picked them just 21 picks later.
So you had 7 out of the top 10.
But I got the right team with the right pick. So 7 out of the top 10 and the first 4 to go.
7 out of the top 10 and the first 4 to go. So that's pretty damn good too. And
I think you get 3.5 for the.
You're 3.5 because it was the right pick, the wrong team, right? So you get the right 3.5. But he had all 4 of them in the right spots. Is the point?
Yeah, so that's good.
That's really pretty good. That's pretty damn good. I got to put my one up here again. I don't know where the hell it went. It disappeared. So I'll throw mine up, and then we'll just switch to that, and we'll look at what I did. Here we go. Here's my pick.
Right, good job, Harry.
Good job, Harry. Good job, Harry. All right, now
I know nothing of what I did.
There you go. I had Bryce Young in the right spot. Anthony Richardson, I had wrong. C.J. Stroud, I had he got picked just the wrong position and the wrong team because I said I Will Levis. Levis did not get picked in the top 10.
That was your shit the bed pick.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a bit of a boondoggle.
Yeah, that was the Daniel Jones of this draft, and people were smart enough not to take him.
And Will Levis didn't get picked till the 2nd round. He went in the 2nd round, right? Yeah. Just double check here. Will Levis went. No, not even in the 1st round. Will Levis.
Yeah, no, he wasn't in the 1st round, right? Because
Will Levis went to Tennessee, and He went in the second round, the 33rd pick, the second pick in the third round.
Good for him. That's about where he belongs.
There you go.
Maybe.
So, Jalen Carter to the Seahawks. Jalen Carter went, but I had the wrong team. Will Anderson to the Lions. Lions didn't even pick till later. They wound up picking 12th because they swapped again. But
Reese Witherspoon going to the Raiders.
Reese
Witherspoon
went to the Raiders. So I had that.
Owen Wilson going to the Falcons.
Yeah, I had Tyree Wilson. Luke. So I only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7 out of 10.
I had 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10, and only 1 was in the right spot.
Well, there you go.
So I would say I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it. The two of you tie, and I'm left in the wings.
Wait, didn't Pete get every one of the top 10?
He missed one.
I missed one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think I had 2 in the right place with the right team.
3 in two in the right place with the right team. So yeah. So
Okay.
So you're 4 in the right place, 3.5 of the picks.
Right.
Just one wrong team.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Balances out his 9 right and your 7 right. So.
I give it to Pete by a hair.
I kind of give
Pete
the
by a hair.
I would say I give it to you because you got 3 out of the top 4 right team, right place. That's impressive.
All right, so Pete's giving it to Harry. Harry's giving it to Pete. I'm giving it to both of you. Both tied.
All right.
And I'm in the wings. So there you go.
It's like a quiz.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another tie.
Another tie. Yet another tie. All right, so there you go. So that's the recap of ours. But I mean, overall, look, three quarterbacks went in the first 4 spots, which we knew was going to happen anyway with those 3, right? We had the feeling. I had all 4 quarterbacks going in the top 4 spots, but Will Anderson was too good not to take. And kudos to the Texans. I mean, who knows how long it'll take for them to be a little bit more relevant, but I mean, grabbing CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr., that was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the general consensus is that Philly had the best draft, and all they did was bring in guys from Georgia.
That's it. Well,
anybody from Georgia, come on up. But second best draft. I mean, if you want to base it just on the first round, because we don't know anybody who goes in the second round and later is always a question mark. But a hell of a job there, Houston, right? They're trying to get back to relevance and taking 2 big steps. So
absolutely.
Good job on their part.
See if I can find this. New logo. Here we go. If it pops up, I'm going to show you. I'll just have to show it to you. Shit.
I mean, a lot of people.
No, it's not here. I saw it and I didn't save it. I should have saved it. It was you talk about Georgia. It was the Eagles' new logo. It was the Eagles logo, but the G in Eagles was the Georgia logo.
Yeah,
the Georgia G. So
listen, they've got their quarterback. They're building their team, and they're looking to.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, it's funny. You can look at the draft, and you can almost, based on what transpired and certain moves and stuff like that, you can almost see where the GMs and like the war rooms mindset was at, right? Because, after I thought about it and everything else, especially going through the day on Thursday, and of course I watched the draft, but I had to agree with Pete with Bijan Robinson being taken by the Eagles, or wanting to be taken by the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
Because they wanted a running back, right? And Bijan Robinson got taken by the Falcons at 8, and the Eagles had the 10th pick. So you could see the swap with Chicago. So obviously they wanted to jump up because they were afraid that Chicago was going to take Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter was their number 2. So boom. So, but you can see how it played out. But overall, I mean, a decent draft, some decent names, people that you thought. There was no real outliers in the first, I thought anyway, in the first round. So I'm going to ask you really quick. We'll start with the Jets. Pete, I'll ask you. How do you feel about the Will McDonald pick, edge rusher, outside linebacker from Iowa State for the Jets pick, number 15?
I guess a lot of people are high on him. I mean, they did draft a couple. I mean, they drafted a center and Carter Warren out of Pittsburgh in the later rounds, but I thought they could go for a little bit of offensive line help, but I guess they felt like McDonald was maybe the best player on the board, or
Right.
I guess if they figure if we can get after other quarterbacks a little bit better, then maybe we won't have to score so many points. And
well, it's funny because McDonald was ranked at his position, right, outside linebacker. He was ranked third. So, and of course, obviously, Will Anderson was ranked first, but
Right.
Nolan Smith, who went pick number 30 to the Eagles, was ranked second. So, according to the ranking, Nolan Smith was a better pick, and the Jets picked not a bad pick. I thought it was a decent pick. The Jets have a good defense, and I think Will McDonald will add to that. Yeah, we'll see. Harry, how do you feel about the Giants' 24th overall pick? Since they swapped picks with, who do they? Jacksonville.
I was looking at the Sporting News ranked everybody, and at first I was like, what the hell are they talking about? But I did read, and I thought they had a pretty good analysis of everything, and they give the Giants an A for their overall draft. Mm-hmm. And I agree with them, and we've kind of talked about this, is that they were methodical about getting what they needed. They got a corner, and then they were able to get a center. I think Schmitz, is he going to be Bart Oates? I don't know, but according to most people,
he certainly looks a little like him, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. All white centers look the same. So he could turn into something very good. And
he was ranked the second center overall. So,
and I think the surprise pick was Eric Gray, running back. And look, I think overall the Giants did well. There's nobody that I don't think is going to come into this year. I think that they're going to probably want Banks to start right away. Schmitz, maybe not. Sometimes it takes offensive linemen a little while to get used to the NFL, the speed of things and the depth of the plays. But I think that they got some depth. They got two safeties and a cornerback. They got a defensive lineman. And, they got you. I wish they would have maybe focused a little bit more on receivers, but the Giants are kind of stubborn in saying we do not need to draft receivers. What we have will work. If we can protect our mediocre quarterback and hand the ball off and have a running game, then we can control the ball, score 17 points a game, and have our defense hold the opponents to 16 at least 7 or 8 times this next year.
Right.
That's the Giants' thinking. And okay, let's see how it works.
Well, they took Jalen Hyatt in the 3rd round.
Right.
And he looks. I looked some film on him.
You just don't know.
You don't know anybody, but you know what? If history holds true with Giants picking receivers and what it looks like as far as Joe Shane and Brian Dable and crew are doing as far as talent goes, hey, you know what? I hope he's going to be a slot receiver, right? He's not that tall, right? He's obviously looking like he's a
good. Anybody who's willing to go across the middle and catch the ball.
I stand corrected. He's 6 foot. He looked a little shorter. He's 6 feet.
6 foot's not
6 foot's not overly tall.
6 foot's tall for a cornerback. It's on the shorter side for a receiver these days.
Yeah.
But it's going to be receiver by committee, and I think the Giants are right in acquiring a bunch of receivers, not necessarily having a clear-cut 1, 2, or 3, because you never know who's going to go scoots-a-loots and become a nutcase. So line them up, get them in there, get them while they're young, get them cheap, and get rid of them before they ask for an extension on their contract and become net jobs.
Well, that's the deal, right? That's been the Giants' MO for years. Very rarely do they sign anybody I can off the top of my mind, I can think of two. I can think of Plaxico Burress, actually worked out for them, and then I could think of Kenny Galladay, who the Giants would have been better signing a ham sandwich, but.
Well, it's hard. A ham sandwich is hard to. The ham sandwich is really short. It's hard to hit that in the open.
Exactly, but you could throw a screen all day to a ham sandwich, though. That's the point.
Yeah, you're not going to gain much yardage, but yeah.
No, you never know.
So we'll see. Look, the Giants had a nice year last year. For the Giants to repeat even that, it's going to be a tall order this year, especially with the fact that I think Philly's going to be even better than they were last year. So we shall see. I don't know. Oh, by the way, across the river or in the same locker room or however it works, the Jets have Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And who did they sign today?
They signed Randall Cobb today.
Yeah.
More friendly fingers for Aaron to throw a ball to.
That's right.
Exactly.
So we shall see.
We shall. All right. So run it down overall. Looks like the CBS Sports gave I'm going to scan real quick here. The Falcons got a C. This is a grade on their draft. The Ravens got a B. The Bills got a B+. Panthers got a B-. The Bears got a B+. Bengals B-. Browns B. Cowboys C+. The Broncos got an A-. And they only had 5 picks. 3 A's they picked.
So, less of a chance to screw it up.
All right. The Lions wound up with an A-. The Packers A-. Houston Texans C+. The Colts an A-. The Jags a B-. The Chiefs a B-. Chargers B+. Rams B. Raiders B-. Dolphins B+, and they only had 4 picks. Vikings B. Patriots had 37,000 picks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 picks the Patriots had. And they get a C+ because they actually have 1 F. The kicker that they signed in the 4th round got graded an F. So
that seems harsh.
A little bit, I think so. Saints got a B-. The Giants got a B+. The Jets got a B. The Eagles got an A-. Steelers A-. Seahawks B. 49ers B-. Bucks B. Titans B-. Commanders B-. I didn't hear one.
Much like draft picks, the grades are also very different.
Yeah, exactly. And what was what did Philly get?
Philly got an A- from the Sporting News.
They got an A- from CBS too. Nobody got
and the Steelers got an A+. Actually, Philly got an A+ from the Sporting News, and the Steelers also got an A+. So Pennsylvania's doing pretty well.
Looks that way. Yeah, the CBS didn't give anybody an A+. I didn't say any A+, right? You don't remember me saying that? I don't think so.
They gave an A+ to the Eagles, the Steelers, the Colts. They gave the Giants an A. The Bears an A, the Lions an A, the Bengals an A, the Kansas City Chiefs an A, Tennessee an A-, Houston an A-. So they're a friendly grader. But they did give the Jets a D.
And this is the Sporting News? Yeah. Clearly the author of that article does not like the Jets. So, or Rodgers.
I don't think it's that. I just think it's,
The NFL themselves gave the Cardinals an A, the Falcons an A-, the Ravens an A, the Bills an A, the Panthers a B.
Okay, all right, whatever.
Bears an A-. Yeah. I'll just Bengals got an A. Browns.
Can we wrap up the draft until next year?
Maybe. Yeah. I'm trying to get to one. They gave the Lions a C+.
Skip a year?
There you go. Well, we talked about Houston. Obviously, they got a B+ from the NFL. Colts got an A. I'm just getting down to the Giants and the Jets here. They gave the Jets, where is it? Right over here. They gave the Jets a B, and they gave the Giants an A-.
That's outrageous.
And the Eagles got an A-, and the Steelers got an A. So out of all four teams, the Jets, the Giants, the Eagles, and the Steelers, the NFL gave the Steelers the best grade. So
I think most people were really pretty high on the Eagles, Steelers, the Colts, and the Titans. So those are the ones that seem to jump out the most.
Looks that way. So overall, I mean, I think it was a decent draft. I think there were a lot. It was a good class. I think there were a lot of solid players. I think the NFL is better for the players coming up from the college level this year. So that's my thought. But anyway, cool. You guys have anything else on the draft?
No.
Thank God it's over.
Fair enough. There you go. Yeah, all right.
You can tell how much I love the draft.
I know you do so much love the draft.
Rather watch a hockey game from beginning to end.
This is true. All right. Any baseball you want to chat about?
No.
Yeah, me neither. The Mets are about to lose their first doubleheader. Get swept in the first doubleheader. Let me just see what the score is here.
The mighty
Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's the top of the seventh, and the Tigers are leading 6-1. And the Tigers,
and the bases are loaded.
Yeah, and the Tigers won this afternoon 6-5.
So good for them.
Yeah, Scherzer gave up 3 runs. Scherzer gave up 3 runs in the first 2 innings. So,
Harry, you worried about
6 hits?
You worried about the MVP or not so much? It's only a 10-day stint on the IL.
Oh, Judge?
Yeah.
Look, this is playing out exactly the way I thought the Yankees season would play out. I'm glad we have Judge. He's never going to have another year like he had. He was having an okay season. The Yankees are still striking out too much. They're fragile. They're hurt. They're put way too much pressure on their starting pitching, which actually has performed fairly well. They don't have a closer, and the bottom of the lineup sucks. It absolutely fucking sucks. But we knew that, and we didn't do anything about it. But Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone get a pass because they were able to re-sign their best player. Something the Yankees never had trouble doing in the history of their organization.
Right.
But
there's never a question.
They get another chance for that. And oh, by the way, I believe the Yankees are in last place, and they are. Now, they still have a winning record, but they're 8.5 games out of first place, and we just started May.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're going to have to start stringing together some wins and not playing 500 ball. If the Yankees are a 500 team this year, they're not going to get into the playoffs. They're just not. So, we'll see if Rodon comes back. We'll see if Stanton and Judge can get back in and get back into shape. I was optimistic about Rizzo. I thought the new shift rules were helping him. He's come back down to earth. DJ LeMahieu's had some big hits this year and is hitting for more power. But, he was up to hitting 300, and now he's down in the 260 range again. I kind of like him at third base over Donaldson. I don't know why Boone would put Donaldson back in. Let's just admit Donaldson was a mistake. Let's pinch hit him every once in a while in July and, keep DJ at third. That's fine. Let him play every position other than his natural position. That doesn't affect how you perform at the plate at all. And, they got to stay healthy. Tampa Bay is 24-6.
Yeah. And Baltimore's 20-9.
Yeah. Every team in the American League East is above 500, and they all have a differential in the plus. Every one of them has a differential in the plus. Tampa Bay is plus 106.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 106. Every team in the Central, with the exception of Minnesota, is in the red.
Yeah, you know what's real funny? The Yankees are 16-15. The Mets, unless they do something tonight, are going to be 16-15. But the Mets
and the
have
Mets are only 4 games out. Yeah.
The Mets have here's the funny thing. The Mets have a +8 differential right now. Okay. If the score remains the same and they lose 6-1, their differential goes to +3. Okay. And the Yankees differential is +3. So if the Mets lose at this score tonight, the Yankees and the Mets have the exact same record and differential.
Yeah. I mean, if we combine them, we'd have a pretty decent team. The Yankees are further out of first place than the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
They are tied for the Washington Nationals as far as how many games back they are first place. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous.
What I find interesting, though, is the Marlins.
Right?
At 16-14, 4 games back of Atlanta with a -41 differential.
Yep.
It's feast or famine. They lose big and win big.
That's ridiculous.
And they lose big and win small.
Well,
they win a few games big, but I mean, it's stupid. But yeah, they just to recap that, Scherzer, 3 1/3 innings pitched today. Now, granted, he hasn't pitched in 10 days, but 3 1/3 innings pitched today, gave up 8 hits and 6 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, listen, hopefully he's going to round into form, right? Because he's not starting out well.
No.
I mean, we're in May now, and he has not pitched well other than, maybe one game, I think.
He got thrown out of.
He won his first 3 games. He was pitching well in that game, but he won his first 3 games, and 2 of them he was lucky. He won them.
Yeah.
So he won them because of the bats. And the bats have where the bats go.
Yeah.
They rallied a little bit today, but not enough.
So Verlander's coming back, but he's old.
of pitchers.
Well, it's the pitching too. The Mets did come back in the first game today.
Get into the playoffs, and it's a completely different thing.
The Mets won.
The Mets are the Miami Heat of baseball. Get in.
The Mets won this afternoon. Into this afternoon's game, they came back. The Bats came back. They were winning 5-4, and Adam Ottavino comes in the 9th inning and gives up 2 runs. So
look, the Mets are going to have to face the potential prospect that their 2 aces are old and are not going to give you the kind of innings that they have given you, and not that they're going to. We haven't even
seen Verlander yet, so we don't know that. I mean,
right, and again, it's May, so we haven't had Verlander for a month now, and so they're just going to have to deal with that fact that those 2 guys are most likely just not going to be lights out like you're hoping. And Atlanta, I mean, unless Atlanta has a slew of injuries, like where's the indication that they're going to slow down? They're not getting lucky. They're a good team, so you're going to be chasing them. Obviously, Miami is not going to be in second place for very much longer. But I mean, this idea that the Mets, I don't see how they. I don't see how they do anything but struggle to keep up with Atlanta.
Yeah.
Unless Atlanta goes on a real cold streak at the same time the Mets go on a hot streak. It's possible. But, the best laid plans of mice and men.
Well, they're only 4 games behind, right?
They're only 4 games out. It's only the beginning of May.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not running away with this division.
No, they're not.
No, and both the Yankees and Mets are struggling with some injuries. The Yankees got Harrison Bader back. He's I think playing tonight. Judge is out. We know Stanton is out, and then you have Carlos Rodon, who we just don't know what's going on with. Now it's June when he's expected to be back.
Right.
Severino is it's going to be June for him. Luis Gil is still out. Judge is out. Loizica, I mean, their pitching is pretty. I mean, the only one who's expected to return this month is Josh Donaldson. He's the one I don't want coming back.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, Stanton is out. All right. Well, you expected to hear that at some point during the season, right? I mean, that's a given.
Maybe. I mean, you got to be hopeful that no. I didn't expect 3 of the Yankees' top 4 pitchers to be out. Yeah.
Right. But my point is with the Mets, you're not expecting it to be May, what is it, the 3rd?
Mm-hmm.
And Verlander hasn't pitched yet, and Scherzer has been mediocre at best. I don't even know if I would use that word.
True.
That is, that's the core of what this team was about, obviously defensively, is those two guys. So, if they don't get right, then Mets are going to have to figure out some other approach other than let's lean on these two, 39-year-old guys or whatever, and hope that we get 25, 26, 28 starts out of them and they pitch great.
Right.
So,
yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, let's leave that there and talk about something a little more fun. What do you think? A little basketball.
Basketball, is that going on?
That's going on. That's going on.
Certainly is.
And what Harry has written under his name is possible. Not likely, but possible.
Well, let's start with the Knicks because everything is so geared towards New York. I watched that game last night. Obviously, Jimmy Butler is out. The Knicks expected to win at home. I've never seen a team that is so lethargic in the playoffs, making so many brain-dead, boneheaded plays towards the end of a game to close something out. They won, and that's great. But the dumb fouls and the stepping, over the line to inbound the ball.
Stepping, right.
Randall always looks like he just took a bong rip on the bench before he came in. And, it's just RJ Barrett, too. Look, this is a great story for the Knicks. And this is this Knicks-Miami series, let's be honest, is a throwback. This is a throwback to years ago when you had veteran players and guys who would step up. It's a low-scoring series. Jimmy Butler, in the last series and into the first game here has been dominant. Mm-hmm. But I just don't have this. I don't have this sense of confidence in the Knicks to finish games out if Brunson is not firing on all cylinders. Yeah, well, and look, I will say I was wrong about Brunson. I was not super excited about him. I thought it was a consolation prize. I thought that Brunson and Mitchell together would be a great backcourt. But Jalen Brunson has proven that he is the kind of player that you want with the ball in his hand in the playoffs. He's a two-way player. He's the Knicks' best, most consistent player. But if Julius Randle does not play like this is the last time he's going to have a chance, because it might be, to win a championship, then I don't know what's going to motivate you. I really don't. He did great in that game, and he did some really interesting things to exploit the Heat in the paint. But he should have had 50 points. There's nobody that can guard him when Jimmy Butler's out on the Heat if Adebayo's not on him. And they weren't putting him on him, and they weren't really doubling him all that much. So, the Knicks, they might get another game in Miami without Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler is pretty hurt. They got to exploit that. They cannot lose any games with Butler not on the court. They just can't.
No, they
I don't
can't.
care if it's at home or
absolutely.
I still have the Heat winning the series if Butler can play at least in the next, 4 out of the next 5 games. But if it's less than that, then the Knicks have to hit the accelerator and take advantage of this. And I don't like Mitchell Robinson on the court as much as Tibbs is playing him. He's a good player. He's a great rebounder, but when the game gets to when they get to the end of the game, he's a liability. He can't hit a free throw. He's prone to stupid fouls. And while he's a great rim protector, he's a liability when the Knicks are up, especially, and the other team's trying to score from the perimeter. I just don't understand why Tibbs doesn't know that. It just seems like everybody on the Knicks, including the coaching staff, went into this weird fog and tried to give that game away. They're not going to win if they don't play the full game. They got to play through the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, they very easily could have lost that game last night, just as easy as they won it. I mean, they played great down the stretch, right? I mean, they went on a 20. They were down 6, and
they played great right before the stretch.
And they did
at the very end, they played horribly.
Well, down the stretch overall, I'm just saying they went on a 24-12 run.
Yeah.
Going down.
And why was that?
Down 6, so
who showed up in the second half that didn't show up in the first half?
Right.
Brunson.
But they were
like 27 points in the second half.
Except for the one time they dribbled the ball off his foot and went out of bounds. But
that's fine. He's got the ball in his hand a lot. That's going to happen. You know, it's a different thing when you're doing that and not scoring than if you do that every once in a while. And the other thing, this is my pet peeve with the NBA, this rolling the ball and then waiting to pick it up to save a second or two on the shot clock. Get rid of it. It's horrible. It ruins the game. It's horrible. It's stupid.
It's stupid.
It just
I don't think so.
Clearly.
It doesn't put you in a position to distribute the ball right. I don't know.
Well, listen, I think that's something that has to should if it's enough of an issue for the other teams, then they'll put someone across the half court line and make you pick up the ball sooner. It's a problem that should be solved by the game itself. Listen, you can definitely save several seconds. If nobody comes, you let the ball roll right up. I understand what you're saying, but
if you're up by 8, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it when you're up by 8?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because it's just become second nature. They're not thinking. That's my point. They're not thinking half the time.
Yeah. Well, look, as Brunson goes, so go the Knicks. You know.
Yeah, but there's a limit on it. Look, the Knicks are.
Yeah, but right. The question is, who's going to be that number 2? Is it going to be a different guy every night? Yep. You know, who do you look to? And is it going to be
RJ Barrett is inconsistent. Randall needs to be consistent. He needs to get back to his regular season numbers. Julius Randle was a 25-point double-double this year. That's incredible. But he doesn't necessarily do that in the playoffs because he gets frustrated by defense. And he's figured it out. He just needs to be more aggressive, and the Knicks need to put the ball in his hand more. So,
all right,
we'll see.
All right, let's talk about the other half of the Eastern Conference semis. James Harden finally showed up for a playoff game.
Boy, did he show up.
I
said, boy, did he show up. James Harden might be having his best year in 6 years. And arguably one of his best seasons as a pro and what he's been doing.
And I got to say, it was a beautiful thing to watch because he was the James Harden, again, not of the playoffs, but he hasn't been that guy. I mean, look, when he came to the Nets, right, he was leading the league in assists and he was facilitating and everyone, wow, this is holy cow. Well, now he's doing exactly what he needed to do and dumping in 48 points or whatever the hell 42.
He had a hell of a game. And this is why I picked the Sixers, you know, other than the Bucks. I had my team that I had after the Bucks, which obviously a lot of people picked them and missed out, is the Sixers. Yep. I had the Sixers. I think the Sixers are on a path to the finals. And it's because they've got 2 great players, and out of all of the, you know, so-called MVP candidates, which I don't even think there were any real candidates. There was just one this year. Embiid's got the most help. You know, James Harden is a top, when he's playing like that, he's a top 10, maybe top 5 player in the NBA. So they should, and they have a little bit more depth and they're structured. They have a good defensive team when they need to. Harden's having a great year, and he had to step up and score more, and he did. And he did it in the clutch too. I mean, people are talking about Jimmy Butler, rightfully so. I think there's 3 people in this playoffs that you have to look at as rejuvenated and resuscitated in some ways, and that's with the exception of Jimmy Butler, who's clearly number one on that list, I think you got to put James Harden and Jamal Murray on there. I mean, Harden's been pretty consistent. Jimmy Butler's been very consistent, and Murray's been a little bit less consistent than those two. But he's put in some games already in this postseason that is beyond bubble Murray. He's back. He's healthy at the right time. I hope it remains that way. And he is playing great basketball. Even on the defensive side of things, he is becoming a difference maker. And I think we've seen it in the first two games. You know, everybody talks about Devin Booker. Well, Jamal Murray's right there with him. And I'll be honest, I think he's outplayed him in the first two games.
Yep. And, you know, the other thing about Harden is, like, you don't want to have to count on that on a regular basis. You know, not that he's going to choke every game, but although he has a pretty checkered playoff history, right? He has not performed well in the playoffs over and over again. But you don't want to have to get, you know, 35 from Harden on a nightly basis. Now, look, Boston's up by 8 in the second quarter with 10 minutes, and Embiid is back, so
you expected this to play out this way today, though. You expected Boston to at least be able to come back and win this. I will say this. The Sixers, without Embiid this year, have been very good, and the big reason for that is Harden. Now, can we expect Harden to score 45 and have 12 assists every game? No. But I think there's something a little different about James Harden this year. I feel like he's finally settled into who this team is and how he fits into it. And I think he's accepted some of the things that James Harden can no longer do. And he's shooting at a much higher percentage rate because he's not shooting all of the time, which is what James Harden had previously done. You know, James Harden scores 48. That's great. He shot 13 of 53, you know.
Yeah,
so he's become a way more efficient player. And look, that's what happens. Good players they get better when they understand their limitations, when their athleticism slips just a little bit. And let's face it, it has with Harden. Yeah.
Efficient is probably the best word to describe that game that he had. I mean, there's plenty of superlatives.
Yeah, incredibly efficient.
But that was, right, yeah, which is unusual for James Harden. So,
and what people don't give Harden credit for is his defense. He's a hell of a defender. He is a sneaky guy, and at the right time and in the fourth quarter, he creates turnovers, whether it's through direct steals or through his off-ball defense. He's a pretty good defender, which is only going to get better now that he's, you know, if he does funnel somebody into the lane, you got one of the biggest rim protectors in the game today back and hopefully being able to play. So, it's going to be interesting. That's for sure.
When he's motivated, James Harden can pretty much do it all, right? We've laughed for years about his defense, right? Harden doesn't play defense, but now I guess he, you know, really wants to win a championship. So,
I guess. I mean, you know,
listen, it's great to watch. I love watching it. You know.
Yep.
I mean, he plays the way he plays is beautiful.
Yep.
All right. You want to save the Nuggets for last?
What else do you want to talk about?
Well, we could talk about. Listen, I
Steph
just want to
Curry
say
and the Golden State Warriors.
I just want to say one thing about Game 7 and Curry scoring 50 or whatever. Didn't they win by 20? I know it was a game for the ages, but it's not like he scored 50 and they won by 3. That game was a blowout. So
it was.
He could have scored.
It was close until the middle of the third, but yeah.
Right. I mean, he could have scored 30 and they still would have won, you know. So, but I mean, it was incredible to watch and it was a bit of a. I mean,
they're champions. They're champions for a reason. There's a reason why he's got 4 rings. There's a reason why this team, you know, they're not the most consistent of, let's call it, dynasty teams. You know, their big 3 is not Bird, McHale, and DJ or Robert Parrish. It's not as evenly distributed. It's Steph Curry, a Klay Thompson when he shows up, and Draymond Green. But the role players, much like the role players for the Lakers, the role players for Golden State, they've always had a number of people that can come off that bench and perform way above what they normally do. Kind of remind me of the Spurs in that way. From Robert Horry through to, Manu Ginobili, there were always these guys who had these incredible postseason. Now, I don't think this team, as it's made up, is as good as the team that they had last year that won it all. But if you have Steph Curry on your team in 2023 basketball, you got a chance, because even on a mediocre night for him, he's going to keep you in the game. And they're also the kind of team that a 16, 20-point deficit is nothing to them, because most of their game is either backdoor cuts, fast breaks, or at times the best three-point shooting the NBA has ever seen.
Right.
And he is so good. He might be playing the best basketball of his career. I don't think he's got the best team around him. I think that Steve Kerr is a great coach. I think that Golden State somehow is made for today's NBA. They are perfectly built for today's NBA. They don't really have a center. I'm not even sure Draymond Green is technically a power forward. He's sort of this, he can become a point forward. He's a kind of a high post distributor. He's an off-ball defender. He's an instigator and a kind of pest. And I get that. But it all comes down to, can Steph Curry be 60% of Steph Curry or greater? And if he is, and Klay Thompson is 50% or greater of what Klay Thompson can do, they're unbeatable, because if you go near them, they're going to be on the free throw line. And if you don't go near them, they can hit from anywhere on the court, literally anywhere on the court. So,
and yet they're down 1-0 to the Lakers.
I'm back. Read my tag.
Yeah.
So, well, we know that.
And so let's shift to the Lakers. I think the Lakers have had some pretty good matchups in this. And yes, they kind of had to go the distance in order to win their series, which I sort of thought they'd win. Yeah. This is a pretty evenly matched up game, because Golden State has no answer for Anthony Davis should Anthony Davis want to play. Yep. And he has.
Which he did in game one.
Yeah. Which he did in game one. Here's the difference, though, is that if there's any team that can make adjustments better than Golden State, I don't know who they are. So
it's almost silly how well they can adjust to whatever the situation is.
Steve Kerr is a great coach, and what they're going to do, is they're going to let Anthony Davis score, because maybe they put Looney in there a little bit, maybe they throw some flashes at him of double teams, but they got to double him from above. They can't double him from behind. They got to get in his passing lanes and make him hesitate enough on his shot, because when Anthony Davis is off, it's because he doesn't have the most direct path in his shooting, progress. In other words, if you could get a little glitch in there or make him alter his shot a little bit, he's not the best big man at adjusting that. Having said that, he and the Lakers, and the key to the Lakers is, again, can D'Angelo Russell play? Does he show up? Does he not? I think the Lakers are deeper than people think on the bench, and I think Golden State is not. And so this is going to go 7.
Probably.
I said when the playoffs started, if the Lakers stay healthy, watch out for them, mainly because of those two guys. And listen, LeBron's got a little bit of history in the championship series with Golden State, and I'm sure he'd like to put another winning notch on that belt. Back from his days in Cleveland there. So Warriors would probably like some revenge for losing that finals. But I think this is going to go 7. And again, to me, it comes down to the health of the Lakers.
Yeah, you're right.
And a little bit to the health of Golden State. They can't afford any dings or dents, because they're not super deep. And they're going to have to rely on their starters to play big minutes. I don't find that to be an issue with Curry. I do think it could become an issue with Klay Thompson. But the way in which these series are working, it's helping both these teams because they're getting some breaks.
Yep.
And so,
they're getting time off.
They're getting time off, and that is gonna help these guys.
Agreed.
All right, let's shift to the Nuggets and the Suns. You got to be happy as hell.
Happy as hell.
Phoenix, not the best team in the NBA, and Chris Paul is day to day. It's just amazing. I mean,
I'm not sure Chris Paul not being on the court doesn't help Phoenix.
Well, that's actually what some people have said. But my point is, like, how can it happen over and over and over again?
It's not over yet.
It's not. But
it's not over yet.
Always in the playoffs, and you just go, this just doesn't seem fair.
They have two of the top 5 players. If you were picking an all playoff team right now, then Devin Booker is definitely on that team. Kevin Durant's probably on that team too. So the Nuggets have their work cut out for them, because for the Nuggets to win, and this is what's already happened, they need Jokic to be Jokic, which is always asking a lot, but he seems to show up. They need, if Jamal Murray does not have a good game, the Nuggets are toast. And then they need 2 of the next 3 guys to play good games. If one of them and not 2 of them does not have a good game, if Gordon, Porter, or Murray do not, 2 of those 3 do not have excellent games, the Nuggets are toast. And the given, along with Jokic, is KCP. KCP needs to do what he does. And I think that's why he's able, he can guard Devin Booker. He's obviously guarding Kevin Durant. The Nuggets defensive scheme has been excellent. And you got to give Michael Malone credit for that. They came out ready for game 1. They usually do. But they didn't drop in game 2. And everybody says, oh, Chris Paul went out. It's the only reason why they won. No, they closed the game out. They closed the game out on the Suns. And they won a big game 2 at home. They held home court. They got to go and win one of the next 2 minimum in Phoenix. And I think they can.
Let me ask you a question. Who would you, assuming, obviously, hypothetically speaking, of course, the Nuggets get past the Suns, who would you rather face in the Western Conference Championship?
I think I'd rather face the Lakers. Golden State is just one of those teams. I can't stand them, but you're stupid to ever write them off. You're just stupid to ever write them off. I think the Nuggets could. I think Jokic and I think Gordon and Jokic, they could stifle Davis enough. I'm not going to stop him. They could stifle him enough. And I think if Jokic plays smart, he might even be able to get him into foul trouble. So as much as people, Davis, Jokic can't guard him, I think Jokic can guard Davis way better than Davis can guard Jokic.
Jokic, yeah. I think I agree with you.
And I think the Nuggets can, here's what's going to come to roost in game 2. The Golden State's not going to have a second game in a row where they shoot poorly. And the Lakers are going to have to pick up their outside shooting, which they have for the most part in the playoffs. But I just think the Warriors win this next game on the perimeter. And I think it's going to be a tough series, but I think it's still Golden State in 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
But, it doesn't really matter. Look, the other part of me is if the Nuggets do get past Phoenix, then bring on Golden State. Bring them on, because if we're going to win a championship, we're going to shut up all the motherfucking doubters out there. Then let's beat the best team in basketball, quote unquote, and let's beat the champs. Let's do it. And then let's go meet the MVP.
Yep.
Let's go do it. Let's go do it. That's what I want.
Fair enough. Well, you're assuming that the MVP is who the MVP is. So.
Well, Embiid won the MVP, yeah.
That he's in the playoffs. I'm saying he's still in the playoffs at that point. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's the Sixers to lose right now. I mean, people are talking about it. I mean, Boston's up a little bit right now, but Philly's kind of holding off the charge. If Philly wins the first 2 in Boston, I think this is over in no more than 6. I think Philly's a better team than Boston at this point right now. Mm-hmm. And I don't think if the Knicks, if the it's the Knicks or the Heat, they're either one of them are going to be severe underdogs against either Philly or Boston. This is going to be the hardest series in the East for either of these two teams.
Right.
And if they get past this, I think they got a road to the finals.
There you go. All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. We have any Are They For Real tonight? You're muted, Pete.
Show a little bit.
What's that?
You want to talk about hockey?
Oh yeah, no, I do. I wanted to see if you had an Are They For Real for as the NBA goes or anything like that.
Well, are they for real? The Boston Bruins, are they for real?
There you go. Yeah, right.
I'll tell you who is for real is the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, they look good. Before we get to hockey, though, I did want to throw these up really quick. I don't know if you noticed this last night. This was at the Knicks game at MSG last night. Here's one picture. Aaron Rodgers and Sauce Gardner with who's that guy in the glasses? Who is that? Did he used to play for the Knicks?
I think he's the number 8 all-time scorer in the NBA.
So he was in attendance, and he's
Sauce
talking.
Sauce Gardner looks like R.J. Barrett there.
A little bit. Well, he's got a name tag so he can remember who he is.
Yeah.
But and then this was the other picture. This is like watching. There you go. King Lundqvist in attendance with. So
I was wondering who that was. I thought it was that British actor
Hugh Laurie or
yeah, something like that. My left foot.
Your left foot. There you go. But Aaron Rodgers is laughing. Henrik Lundqvist is in deep thought, and Sauce Gardner is seeing something that he's not sure what it is.
Yeah, he looks a little confused.
Like, so
he's
anyway.
going, man. This game of hockey's weird.
What is
He goes, I didn't think hockey was like this.
Which one of these teams is the Rangers? There you go. All right. So on that note, we'll switch it to hockey. But he was sitting next to Lundqvist because I threw him. So anyway, yeah, you know what? Pete summed it up before. Kudos to the Devils. They just way overmatched the Rangers in Game 7. That was just the Rangers weren't even there. They were done. You know, what can you say?
They're too fast.
They were way too fast.
Too fast.
Oh my God, some of those goals that they got around Shesterkin, holy crap. That was amazing.
Yeah. I don't know why it is they decided to get down an 0-2 hole to start taking advantage of that speed.
Well, I
guess, they finally figured it out. So very happy. And Rangers are gone. And of course, I have no love for Carolina, but they took out the Islanders. So I'm a happy.
Yeah, Carolina and the Devils were evenly matched. I think one tie separated them, 1 point overall.
Yeah, they were close. Well, the Devils. I mean, the Devils started Akira Schmidt in goal, in Game 3. So the Rangers were up 2-0, and then after that they only won one game. They won 1-4 with Schmidt in goal.
So let me ask you guys this. Which is a bigger story in your mind? Is it the Kraken getting out of the first round or the Maple Leafs getting out of the first round?
You know what?
Well, I thought you were going to say is the bigger story the Kraken or the Panthers? And the answer is yes. I mean,
because the Kraken don't have a history of failing in the first round.
Toronto,
a new team. Toronto has a rich history.
Toronto struggled more than I thought they would, and they're down 1-0 to to Florida.
So is it a bigger deal that they got out of the first round, or is it a bigger deal that? I mean, given what Las Vegas did a couple of years ago, I think it's a bigger deal for Toronto, right, than it is for Seattle.
No, I think the big stories in this first round of the NHL is that Boston is out. The Kraken have advanced, and then 1B is that Toronto got past it.
Right.
But I think most people expected Toronto this year, although they didn't make it easy. Nobody does. It seems like there's, as much as we've had a lot of Game 7s in the NBA, hockey teams are Jekyll and Hyde. You never know what they're going to do. You just never do. There's no consistency.
Yeah. Well, and look, they beat a Tampa Bay team, which is a little bit weaker than they have been in the past, but this is a team that's had a lot of recent, right? Then they win a couple of cups recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're always way better in the playoffs than they are in the regular season, even as well as they are, as good as they are in the regular season.
So, all right. So let me ask you guys this question also. Obviously, Florida is tough, and there are a lot of people who like them to get into the finals. Did Boston choke?
Yeah,
they choked, right?
Well, it's the President's Cup curse, right?
Well, but look, I watched that Game 7. So they came out sluggish. They were down 2-0. They went up 3-2 and had a lead with a minute left in regulation. Not only did they allow Florida to score, but then Florida won it in overtime.
Yeah.
So.
And weren't they up 3-1 in that series as well? And this is, look, the curse of the President's Trophy, we know. There's been like one team that won it all, I think, right? But here's the thing. This isn't just another
this is the best team.
Cup. Right. This is the team that had the
greatest of the NHL
season in the history of the league. And they blow a 3-1 lead and then, like you said, up by a goal with a minute. I mean, it
usually doesn't happen. If they're going to lose, it usually doesn't happen until later. You had the Patriots. They lost in the Super Bowl. You had Golden State lost in the finals when they had So it has happened before. It's just you did not expect it in the first round. And it wasn't like Boston had some sort of, it wasn't like their top 2 players went out, which would be equivalent to what the Milwaukee Bucks were dealing with in the first round. Right. No, it was that I think Florida had nothing to lose. I think Boston became really tight when they lost that second game in a row leading up to Game 6. And they choked. They choked.
Yeah. Now, and, I did hear today that Patrick Bergeron had like a stress fracture in his vertebrae or something like that, and somebody else had a minor injury, not enough to really keep him out, but they weren't at 100%. But still, this has got to be considered one of the biggest choke jobs.
Yeah,
certainly in hockey.
And it happens a lot more in hockey, but this was surprising to me. I really, in looking at Boston, especially how they were finishing out the season, I never could have saw this. I think the Nuggets beating the Seattle Supersonics in, what was that, 93 or 94? That's the only thing that comes close to this to me, as far as just a team that was destined to go and win a championship, losing in the first round to an 8 seed. But hey, kudos to Florida. Maybe Boston will come back next year and not have to worry about the President's Trophy. Maybe they'll shoot for number 2 seed.
Well, I just pulled it up right here. The last team to win the President's Trophy and the Cup was the 2012-2013 Blackhawks. Before that, it was the 07-08 Red Wings. Then there were a couple in a row. The 01-02 Red Wings won it, and the 2000-2001 Avalanche won both. The 98-99 Dallas Stars won it, and before that was the 93-94 New York Rangers.
Hey, look, I love seeing.
And then we're back to the 80s. So
I would love to see Toronto and Edmonton advance. These are 2 hockey cities that deserve something.
6 teams in the last 30 years.
6 teams in the last 30 years, yeah.
Technically, 6 teams in the last 35 years, really.
I think it's like 8 teams in 60 years or something.
Yeah.
Like 13 of them went to the finals and only 8 of them won, or something like that along those lines. So.
Yeah, I mean, remember the Seattle Mariners? That's another example. Yeah, but this is different. This isn't just somebody winning the President's
Yeah,
Cup.
this isn't just a team that had the most
decimating the best season in hockey. It's different.
Right.
It's different.
Well, this is why they were, like you said, they're up 3-1. That's why I say, yeah, they did. They choked because you don't go up 3-1 and then lose in Game 7 in overtime.
They choked. But look, Seattle's got to be going crazy. I think Toronto and Edmonton, good for them. Those are hockey cities. That's all they got, really. I mean, Toronto's got the Raptors. The Toronto's got the Blue Jays, but Toronto's a Maple Leaf city. Let's not make any doubt about it. We'll see what happens. Florida's already up 1-0. So, obviously they weren't a fluke. They're they're on a heater right now.
Sure.
And maybe the curse of Toronto continues. Toronto winning the first round and not having to face Boston, but having to face a number 8 seed, they would be nothing better could happen for Maple Leafs fans. Be careful what you wish for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But you know what? I mean, if the Maple Leafs win this series, right, and then they're bowed out in the conference finals, you could kind of say, well, the curse is broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they lose this one, you go, well, yeah, they did get out of the first round, but then they went out to an 8 seed, tough 8 seed, but still, I think they have to win this one, and then you can kind of say, yeah, the curse is broken. They didn't win it all, but they advanced to 2 rounds, and that's legit. It
is legit. It's very legit. And I mean, the other fact of the matter too is they won the President's Cup, but they're also the most points a team has scored.
That's what I mean. This is the greatest season any team's ever.
That's what I mean. It's different.
It's not just they won the President's Cup by 2 points.
But it is the Patriots. It is the Seattle Mariners. It is the Golden State Warriors. It is the list goes on. When you break records, very rarely do you see a championship emerge from that.
You're right.
Yeah, that's right. That was the Warriors. What was it? 73 wins.
73 wins. 73, right? They only lost 9 games. Or no, it was 72. They lost 10 games. Yeah, you're right. 72 and 10. They went.
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, and lost the finals.
And they lost the finals, and then 18-0, obviously, and what was it, 116 games the Mariners won?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So we shall see. What do we got? 8 teams left in hockey.
Yep.
Yeah, 8 teams left. Yeah, semifinals, regional semifinals.
Florida, Toronto, Seattle, and Dallas. I mean, the Devils, Carolina, and Edmonton and Vegas. I mean, it's interesting.
Love to see Vegas and Seattle win and face each other in the next round.
I mean,
hold on. Like,
for me, nostalgia-wise, the teams that I would love to see, advance are Edmonton and Toronto.
Edmonton, Toronto. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Can you imagine if it's Dallas and Florida? Stanley Cup Finals, Dallas and Florida.
Look, and I'd love to see the Devils, also advance, but I think this is going to. I think Carolina's a better team than the Devils by just a smidge.
But we'll see. Pretty damn well matched. I really think they're pretty even.
We shall see.
It could go either way. So we shall. All right. So is there an
yeah, we got an over-under. Fire it up.
You got an over-under or an about they for real?
Oh, no, not an over-under. An are they for real?
Gotcha. All right. Fair enough.
What is real?
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Pretty sure none of that's real.
You're not real.
For real, for real, for real. Yeah.
Are you for real? For real? For real? For real?
Are they for real?
What is real?
All right. This is the Are They For Real NFL Draft Edition, because we know how much Harry loves the draft. But, so what we're going to do here is going to run down the Jets and the Giants picks.
Mm-hmm.
And I want each of you, and I will as well, to pick let's say 2 players that you think are for real.
All right. The
Now
two
you can,
players we think are for real.
Yeah, you can pick the first couple guys they drafted because you drafted higher a little bit, or maybe somebody later on, like let's say, I don't know, Eric Gray or whatever. And we'll keep track, and then we'll throw that list away and never look at it again.
What are we doing? Are they for real?
So we're gonna run down the draft picks for the Jets and the Giants. We're gonna pick 2 guys that we think are real.
All right.
There you go.
So for the Giants, we'll just start from their first pick and on down. I won't, So for the Giants, we have Deonte Banks.
Yep.
John Michael Schmitz.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hyatt. Eric Gray and Trey Hawkins.
Is it John Michael Jingleheimer Schmidt?
John Michael Jingleheimer
Schmidt. Yeah.
His name.
So, John, which 2 of these guys do you like?
You know what? We're just going with the top 5. We're not doing all 7. We're just doing the top 5.
No,
right?
Yeah.
Why would I pick one of the 7s over the 5? Right. So, honestly, I like all 4 of these guys.
If you want to, you can.
I think all 4 of these guys are good, but how much playing time, in the first season or even the second season behind who's there already is Jalen Hyatt and Eric Gray gonna see? So I'm going with what I mean. Where I think it really lies. Deonte Banks, cornerback, and John Schmitz, the center. They're the 2. They're my 2.
All right. So the first 2.
Yep.
So Banks and Jingleheimer.
Yep.
Harry?
Carl Banks and Jingleheimer Schmitz.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you're going to see Banks exposed a little bit, but I think his playing time is going to help him. I think year 2 or 3, he's going to be a top 2, defensive back on the Giants. Maybe even slot into that number 1 spot. Schmidt's a little bit more of a long card, but it sounds like he's got the makeup to be a pretty good center. Whether or not he gets playing time this year is probably a little, knowing the Giants' offensive line, who knows?
Well, they need to slot somebody in there, right? Because John Feliciano left.
So again, if he's thrown in there, it's going to be harder for Schmidt to excel.
He may not start, but he's going to see playing time this year.
He might see some playing time. So, but yeah, I think they did okay with I think they're for real. I think they'll be on the Giants for 3 or 4 years at least. I mean, they'll be
so you go with Banks and Schmitz?
I don't see any of them being Pro Bowlers, but yeah.
All right.
There you go.
I'm going to take Jingleheimer also. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to take Eric Gray.
You are?
Yeah. Because I can't see Saquon Barkley staying healthy for another year. And somebody's going to have to carry the ball. Because you don't want Daniel Jones throwing it 40 times a game. And a good young player. So, I think Eric Gray is going to get some playing time. And he's for real.
There you
go. All right. Let's take a look at the Jets. We've got Will McDonald, the 4th. Center Joe Tipperman, Carter Warren, and Israel Abanikanda, both out of Pittsburgh. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Zaire Barnes from Western Michigan, the outside linebacker. Mm-hmm. And we'll leave off the last 2 picks. Unless one of you really wants to take Zach Kuntz.
Kuntz.
I think it's Kuntz. Out of Old Dominion. But all right, so Harry. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll go first.
Go first.
I think it's going to be Tipperman, big 6'6" center out of Wisconsin, and I think. I think I have to pick the first 2. I think I have to pick McDonald. I was going to take Carter Warren. But, no, I'm going to take Carter Warren.
So you're going O-line?
Yep, I'm going O-line.
All right. Well, I'll throw it right out there. I'm going to go in reverse of you. I'm taking Will McDonald. Defensive end. 4th. Will McDonald, the 4th, yes. Defensive end. And I'm also going to take Zaire Barnes, the linebacker.
All right.
I think he'll see some playing time, and I think he'll slot in nicely. I think they're going to focus on defense. I mean, like in a big way, because they have Aaron Rodgers, and they don't. I mean, not that they're not going to focus on the offense. Obviously, they're clearly going to do that. They're going to have should have a pretty damn decent offense. But I think their defense is going to be, even with Aaron Rodgers there, I just see their defense wind up being like their calling card, because obviously they're not going to have a problem. I honestly, personally, don't think they're going to have a problem scoring points this year. What they need to focus on is stopping the other teams they're playing from scoring many points. And obviously that's what football is, right? I'm not saying that. That's tongue in cheek, right? But like in a big way. So I think they're going to focus a little bit more than you think they are going to be on defense. So I think you're going to see both of these guys playing and making an impact.
All right. Harry, who do you like?
Well, I think, a lot of people think McDonald was picked way too high, but you can't argue with the numbers. He has a skill of getting to the quarterback. He had 33 sacks in 3 years. I think they're going to find a way of getting him in the game in different setups, and I think he will be real. The guy that I think, though, is going to compete for the starting center job, and I think he's going to win it, is Joe Tippmann. I think he's a big guy who's athletic, and he is. I think he's what the Jets need, and they wouldn't have picked him that high if they didn't think he could step in right away. They re-signed McGovern, their current
McGovern,
Connor McGovern, but they signed him to 1 year, and it sounds like Salah's ready to have this. These guys battle it out to see who wins. So, but I think the other guy who is going to be, I think he's going to see some playing time, is their round 5 pick, and I'm not going to pronounce his last name, but I think Israel Abanikanda, if that's how you say it. I think he is going to stand out above their first 3 rounds.
All right.
So you're going with Tippmann and Abanikanda?
Yep.
All right. Nice. I like this.
I think he fits right into the Jets' kind of all hands on board offensive rapport. I think he's going to get touches. The Jets are going to they're just going to put speed on speed on speed and let Rodgers figure it out.
All right. I'm going to hang on to this. And then, you know what? At the end of the season, we'll kind of look back and see who played and who didn't play. And I think I'll just hang this from the shelf.
There you go. That'll work.
That way I can't lose it. So
you can't lose it. There you go.
So there
I
we go.
think we got to give it a couple years, right? So.
Well,
we can revisit it as we go.
Yeah, we'll revisit at the end of this year and see. I mean, if there's somebody who's a standout, that we can go, okay, right. We were right about that guy, and then see who is kind of average, or it depends on how much they play. If the guy doesn't play very much, then it's hard to can't make a judgment then. So there we go. NFL draft. Are they for real?
All right, there you go. All right, hey, you guys have anything else?
I have nothing else. Pete does.
Think so. No.
I just have one thing. I want to congratulate Jessica for running in the her 10th Broad Street 10-miler this past Sunday. With 36,000 others.
Where was this?
And in Philadelphia. 10 miles down Broad Street. Finished right in the parking lots between the Wells Fargo Center and the Link. It was a really, really, really crappy day. It was rainy. And
how many beers did you drink while she was running?
I stand on the Fifth Amendment.
Now, how many points of the race did you see her?
Just at the end.
Oh, yeah. So you didn't like start and like go, Jess, and then
Well,
jump
I
in the
can't.
car and
No,
drive
'cause
halfway down and
she's
then
gotta
get
take
out
us.
and
She had to take the SEPTA all the way up to way beyond North Philly, like all the way up, almost out of town, to come all the way down Broad Street up to the only station, and that's like 6 miles up from Center City, and we were staying in Center City. So, and there's no way you can get up that way, right? It's way too much traffic, and I'm going down to pick her up, right, down at the finish line. So I didn't,
so you didn't.
If you don't get down there at a certain time, you're not parking.
Right,
right. So my choice was to either see her in Center City and have her take the train back, or see her at the finish line. So I saw her at the finish line. But yeah, I did happen to go
did
into
Did she have to drive?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No.
So you were still sober enough to drive it.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was fine. No, I had a beer. I had one beer.
Okay.
Yeah. We hit a couple breweries after it. The plan was to hit a few. We hit 1.5 and then went home because she was shot. So
yeah, that's definitely a good time to drink beers after you run
Absolutely.
10 miles.
I will
Doesn't make you kind of a lightweight.
I will concur with you on that one, because actually the first time I've done it myself 5 times. This was her 10th. I've done it myself 5 times. The first time I did it, we went to the Xfinity Center, because it usually finishes in the Navy Yard, but they're doing construction in Navy Yard, so they had to finish it in the parking lots of the sports venues. So we went back up and we went to the Victory has a beer garden in Victory Brewing, has a beer garden in the Xfinity Center, right in the middle of all the stadiums, right? So we got there and they had cans of Victory Summer Love. So I got one and just take a picture of me. I'm holding up my medal and I'm holding the can of Victory Summer Love, and I put it on Instagram. Within 10 minutes, I was the poster boy for Victory Brewing. They had my picture on all of their social media saying, "Congratulations to the Broad Street Runners." So that was pretty fun. But yeah, so there's more people than you would believe have a beer after they run 10 miles.
First time anybody that's ever drank their beer has been known in public to run.
Well, they used to have they probably still have it. It's the Summer Run series here on Long Island, was run by the Parks Department. And I think it was Monday nights. Don and I actually used to run it. They would have a race at all different parks. There was 7 or 8 races, I guess, over the course of the summer. Mm-hmm. And it was fun. And they were, so, most of them were like 5Ks. There was like a 5-miler, and then there was a 1-miler on the beach at Jones Beach and stuff. But it was sponsored by Light Beer and Oots Chips. So like people would run, you'd run like a 5K or whatever it was, or a 10K, and then you'd have like the little cups of beer, and people would have like, 5 cups of beer in their hand and a bag of chips and stuff, and like eating salty snacks and drinking beer
after running
in the summer. It was at night. The races started at like 7:00 at night, but still, you get into July and August, it's still hot, and it's Long Island, so of course it's humid, and then you're like drinking beer, and your body just like, it's like a sponge. It's like, liquid, because you can never drink enough water while you're running, so you're dehydrated, and you down a couple little cups of beer, and then you're like, and then you got to drive home.
That's funny. The one more I'll throw in there is the Atlantic City Beer Festival. It's the Atlantic City Beer and Music Festival that they do every year, beginning of June. It's outdoors on Bader Field in Atlantic City. It's a really good thing. They have bands there, as well as performances, as well as the beer fest. It's the second biggest beer fest in the country, behind one small little beer fest that they have every year out by Harry out there in Denver, which Harry has been to, and I know this for a fact because I was with him. But in any event, Atlantic City Beer Music Festival. This year's bands, actually, the Saturday festival is the headliner is Dropkick Murphys, and Sunday the headliner is 311. So, but still, whether you like them or not, pretty decent size acts to get for that type of a festival, beer fest. But in any event, so kudos to them. In fact, on the beer podcast last night, we had the director of the beer fest on the beer show. But in any event, my point is they on the Sunday beer fest in the morning, about 2 hours before it starts, they run a they call it the Hops Trot, and it's a 5K, and it starts on one side of Atlantic City and comes all the way down to Bader Field. But every half mile, so it's 3.1 miles. Every half mile, they stop and have a beer. So you run a half mile, have a beer. Run a half mile, have a beer. Run a half mile, have a beer, all the way down to
how big is the beer?
I think it's a 6-ounce glass, so it's not like you're having a full beer. You're having a little bit less than half a beer,
right.
But still, you're having 6 of them along the way.
So you're pretty happy by the time you get done, yeah.
Right, and then and you wind up getting into the beer fest early, so there's not all the other crowds there, so you can walk around and like VIP hour, so to speak.
Right.
But yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, that's the best. Went to a festival on Long Island a few years ago with a friend of mine, and we paid extra to go in 2 hours early for the VIP. And at first we were like, I don't know if this was worth it. But then when they let the unwashed masses in, and all the lines were super long, we were like, thank God we had the 2 hours.
2 hours beforehand,
to get lit before all these idiots showed up.
Exactly. Harry, what do you have to say about Beer Fest? You've only been to the best one in the country, so
it's interesting. I feel like some of the biggest things that surround me in where I live, skiing, snowboarding, white guys with dreadlocks, banjo music, and craft beer are all things that I know nothing about.
Well, that's what you have Pete and I for. Me for the craft beer, Pete for the banjo music.
Yeah.
I will say this.
But I can tell you several of those things you mentioned suck, so you're really not missing anything.
Right. Yes. There was humor and sarcasm
intended
for all of that. No, I mean,
I was actually going to say Pete for the white guys with dreadlocks, but
I feel like I feel like
a few years ago.
Right.
I feel like what makes Denver interesting as a location is that there are just so many breweries outside of the actual conference and event itself, which, let's face it, Denver has been kind of leading the way in a lot of ways on what goes on. And we have some of the top breweries in the country. I also feel like it's changed quite a bit. And we're starting to get some breweries that are doing some newer and simultaneously older types of beer. And I think that's what's getting a lot of attention right now. The sort of dominance of, the typical IPAs and things like that have taken a little bit of a backseat as more people have joined in on the beer bandwagon. So you're seeing, places like Cohesion and Beardstadt and places like that, which are more traditional, Pilsners, lagers, etc. Starting to get some national recognition. So, and what could you can't go wrong with a Czech or a German Pilsner.
No,
not for my buck.
Nope.
So, yeah.
Had a couple of them the other day in Philly after the run. So there you go. But yeah,
I feel like it's inside baseball for people who drink beer. So it's great,
Pretty much.
And I think Denver's smart to continue to have it. You can tell when it's in town, but it's far more pleasant than the stock show.
It's true.
It's just that instead of 5 guys with cowboy hats in an Uber, it's 5 guys with baseball hats in an Uber. So I just wish we'd start having conventions that brought some women to Denver.
There you go.
Anyway, the international stripper and bikini show should come here at the same time as the beer convention. Yeah.
That would be apropos. That would be apropos.
It's all that would balance out the
matter of timing.
The spike in khaki pants testosterone that invades the city.
Anyway, all right. Anything else?
That's it.
Go Canuggets.
Go Nuggets. Go Devils.
Go Canuggets. Go.
Everyone else go to hell.
There you go. All right. On that note, we will wrap the show up for today. Want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch a lot of sports. There's plenty going on right now. And we will talk to you next week, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.